We have extensive works going on in Kasarani, Moi Stadium. We have extensive works going on in Nyayo National Stadium. We have extensive works underway in Jamhuri, the new 60-seater stadium right there in Jamhuri in Nairobi. All those are on course. We will deliver the stadium that will be used either for the kickoff or the finals in Jamhuri. We will deliver it a year ahead of schedule, or a year ahead of 2027. We want to deliver it by 2026. So, in fact, we're trying to see whether we can do it by December next year. So, it's all systems go for us hosting the game, the AFCON, both in Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda. As for Harambee Stars, because the game will be right here at home, we are preparing Harambee Stars. We are going out of our way to make sure that every bit of necessary support is given to Harambee Stars. I cannot give you details on whether the coach will be Kenyan, whether it will be Mourinho or whoever. You have some nice suggestions on who you think that should be. But I think that is a conversation that is going on at the ministry. One thing I want to assure you is that we will give our Harambee Stars the best support that we can muster as Kenyans. And I want to encourage all of us as lovers of football that we give them moral support as well, and support them so that they can put up a good show in AFCON. As to corruption in police and the rent-seeking in police stations, you're right. We have decided that we are going to digitize all police stations and even make sure that, and I want Raymond, do you want to say something about that particular issue?
Your Excellency, there's a program and a plan to do the digitization. First, of course, we were piloting the OB, the occurrence book, so that we're able to keep track of what is going on. But then there's also the broader police modernization program that we are running that includes equipping and also improving the facilities that they have. There's a proposal that the gentleman has on the CCTVs. I think even in the major cities as it is in Nairobi and Mombasa, we already have that going on to help the police man the streets, but also for accountability on the part of the police. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As you have heard, we already have a whole program around, first, the famous OB, occurrence book, where when you arrive at the police station, that is where your report is entered. We want to make sure that that is digital, so that we can, from every place, we can know what is happening where, and reports don't disappear, or pages of the OP don't disappear. So that is, but you have a solid suggestion on making sure that we digitize that phase and deal with the matter of corruption. It is true that there is serious, both impunity, and this is something we must deal with as Kenyans. And you see, it is also important for us to say there are people who actually actively induce policemen with money. I think it is time, even us as Kenyans, we stopped the culture of bribing policemen. Because sometimes policemen cannot resist the offers that are being made and advances on them. So this corruption thing, we must deal with it from all angles. We must make sure that we take action on the police that ask for the money, and Kenyans who give money must also be told they are part of the problem. And I don't know who is going to tell them. We need to tell ourselves as a people to stop that culture. And then you have talked about water. I may not be competent to answer about the water in Kisumu County and the payments and how much it costs. But broadly, what I can tell you is that we have a program on delivering additional water. We just succeeded in delivering additional 140 billion liters of water to Nairobi County, a program that has been on the works for the last almost 8 years. That program has now been delivered. It is also my intention, and yesterday we had a conversation with the county of Kisumu. We have a big dam here called Koru-Soin Dam, which is part of the infrastructure we want to use to deliver water that will assist in making sure that we have additional water in this great city and the environs. So the big plan is to supply as much water as possible. That way, when we have enough water, it becomes easy to moderate the costs of water. So on my end, I want to just commit to you that my plan is to increase the water supply, work with the counties, and then we need also to have a conversation with the counties, because now we have a whole concept of public participation where all of us can engage government at all levels on matters that are of concern to citizens. Let me finally speak to Beatrice. And Beatrice has said, what are we going to do about the finance bill? You know, the finance bill is something we must think about as Kenyans, all of us. There were many issues in that finance bill that were very positive for our country. And we are having conversations with different partners. We are having different conversations with different partners. Of course, when we lost the finance bill, we lost close to 340 billion of the money that we would have raised using the finance bill. I now have a new minister, John Mbadi, who is a seasoned accountant and somebody who has clarity on where we want to go. And I have already given him the assignment to look at the best way we can get ourselves out of this. He is working with the Treasury team. They have given me the initial proposal, and I am very confident that we can turn things around once we consolidate our position and then engage the stakeholders in that space and even get ourselves having a conversation with our members of parliament so that we can decide as a country how we move forward. Because the current situation is not tenable. We have to find the resources to deal with the issues. We have roads that many people here agree are stalled. We have water projects that we have to deal with. We have teachers that we have to pay. We have the whole array of requirements of public, including what my sister Yvonne said about matters health that we have to deal with. And all those require resources. So we are going to be innovative on how we are going to look for those resources, and my team at Treasury are working around the clock on it. Now, I am reliably told that we have another 20 minutes of time. So maybe I will take one final round of questions. Maybe that gentleman looks like he has a burning question. Huyo mungwana pale.
Thank you, His Excellency, Mr. President. My name is Olebo, Kalebo Winongar, and I'm a resident of Kisumu and also a politician. And mostly, I'm a sports icon, having played rugby for Kisumu RFC and Kisumu and Ulinzi Football Club. My question is on sports. Kisumu used to be the hotbed of sports. And when we were growing up, we had very, very good sports people here. And since time, it has died. And people have become disillusioned. And because sports is one of the means of employment of our people. During our time when we were in sports, very many people got the opportunity to go abroad and play in Australia, in USA, in all those places, in India. We had hockey, we had volleyball, we had basketball, very brilliant players. Nowadays, it's dying. So I don't know what the government will do to revive sports and give us employment. Another question is about our infrastructure. Indeed, infrastructure, when I talk about infrastructure, I'll talk about roads, I'll talk about water, and I'll talk about electricity. We have here, even in Riyadh here, we don't have roads, we don't have water, we don't have electricity. And even in my home area, Karachuonyo, I don't have a road, I don't have water, I don't have electricity. What are you going to do about that? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Caleb. Let me just deal with Caleb first so that I can move here. Bwana Caleb, on sports, you're right that our sports is not in the place where it should be. What are we doing? The first thing I did last year is that I gave instructions that the sports fund, which had been cannibalized and made to support other things. In fact, the sports fund, only 40% of the money was going to sports. 60% was going to other things. So last year, I changed the policy and I said the sports fund must only support 100% matters sports. That's number one, in order to raise resources for our sports. Number two, you have said, what are we doing about sports? Now we have resources. And in fact, I was reading today, there was an issue in Parliament where Parliament was concerned about our sports academies. For us to be able to raise the quality of our sports, because it's becoming scientific and it is becoming competitive, we have to have sports infrastructure. And it is the reason why we are now investing in sports academies. So we can have more facilities for us to be able to grow the talent that we have. Kenya is a sporting nation, and we all know that we are a sports giant in the world, actually. In fact, the good news, like in the last Paris situation, we were number one in Africa. So it is true, we have sports talent in Kenya. And that is why, number one, I changed the policy on sports fund. And number two, we are now in the program of developing sports academies for us to be able to grow our sports talent, whether it is in football, whether it is in athletics, whether it is in all the other fields. You have also said correctly that roads, water, electricity. I have some good news for you on matters electricity. I was in, you say you come from Karachuonyo. I was in Homa Bay today, and I have asked the ministry responsible for energy. We have negotiated a good program. Now we have a plan on deploying electricity. In your county, we have 1.56 billion shillings to connect 17,000 people to electricity, households in your county. I hope you become one of them, so that at least we sort out one problem. I will make sure that I will tell your member of parliament to make sure that you are one of them. We have desegregated into every constituency. On matters to do with water, again, my good friend Caleb, I was on the program of water today again in your county. I was in Oyugis because in Oyugis we put up a water project there for about 700 million. Today I was there to add them another 200 million so that we can actually deliver water to home states. It is going to happen in Oyugis. It is going to happen in Kendu Bay. I have also a program of 450 million in Homa Bay town, and hopefully I should be able to have a program for Karachuonyo. On the roads, again, today I was in Homa Bay. Let me use your county. Is that correct? Homa Bay is your county? Yes. I was in Homa Bay, and we managed to get resources. You remember that road from Kadel to Karabur to Kanyathiang? That road now we have money to build it. And your short member of parliament knows what. That short man, he's been on my case. You know, we now have money for it. Again, we have money now to do the Sindo all the way to Sori. We also from the one that comes from Homa Bay to Mbita all the way to through Sindo all the way to Sori. That road, we have agreed that we are also going to complete that road. And also, we have a couple of other roads that were started, they stalled, but we are looking for resources on how to take them forward. So we wouldn't be able to do everything in one go, but at least we have a plan on how to progressively complete some of those roads. Let me take a question from here. Anybody, I don't know. Maybe this fellow in a kanzu or something.
Thank you, Mr. Rais.
Okay, we're going to move to hapo wako na.
Mr. Rais, nashukuru sana kupata hii fursa. At least mimi pia leo niongea na rais wa nchi ya Kenya. Mr. Rais, kwa majina naitwa Evans Lugairi, alias Jibril Mesaya. Mimi ni conductor ama donda ukipenda. Mr. Rais, wakati ulikuwa unaanza kuongea, kuna kitu uliongea kuhusu food security. Hapa kwa food security, mimi na madonda wangu wenzangu kadhaa tulichukuana tukasema tunataka tufanye kitu inaitwa urban farming. But ya urban farming tulikuwa tunataka tufuge hata kuku kiasi, mbuzi hivi, sababu si hatuko hapa town, hatuna ile shamba kubwa unaweza fanya, but hizi urban farming kasukuma kingine unaweza uzia kwa hoteli mayai na. Sasa shida Mr. Rais, hapa kwa urban farming tunakosa grants ama funds za kutu unlock. Thanks to Safaricom, jana walinitumia message wakaniambia sijui digital farming. Wakaniuliza kitu unafamia, nikamwambia pia kama mtaa yangu Kajulu pale niko na shamba na napanda avocado kitu kama half an hectare. But hapo kwa funds nikitaka ku-opt-in nipata raka loan, hawana hiyo option. Alafu Mr. Rais, my second question ilikuwa about religion. As we all know that government inaenda hand in hand religion. Ilikuwa sad kwangu kuona watu Shakahola wanakufa ile kishenzi. But Mr. Rais, hii kitu bado inaendelea. Nimekuwa nikitembea chuo mzingine hapa ndani. Unapata watu bado wanaabudu kwa msituni nini. Alafu shida iko sana ghetto, mtazidi tunatoka. Unapata makanisa ni mingi kuliko shule na hospitali. Sasa hawezi soma. Shule ni mingi kuliko hapo Mr. Rais, hapa kwa religion kuna shida pahali. Alafu ya mwisho kabisa Mr. Rais, mimi sikusoma, lakini ukinipatia kazi tachapa vile inafaa.
Okay. Thank you very much Evans. Asante sana Evans. Wacha nikujibu na Kiswahili. Umesema wewe ni donda, lakini pia wewe ni mkulima. Kwanza pongezi sana kwa kufikiria mambo ya food security. Kwa sababu sote sisi lazima tushughulike na mambo ya food security. Hata kama unaniona vile mimi niko rais, pia mimi ni mkulima. Kwa sababu vile wewe unafanya donda, pia wewe unataka kufanya ukulima. Lakini umesema ya kwamba ungependa tuwe na vile ya kuwasaidia kufanya hiyo urban farming. And you are very right. Hiyo urban farming inaendelea in many parts, lakini hatujakuwa na mpango kamili ya support ya urban farming. Farming is a devolved function. Sasa hiyo farming iko chini ya makaunti, lakini I will take it up. It is a challenge umenipatia kwamba tunaweza kuwa na mpango gani ili kusupport food security. Tuwe na mpango ya kusupport urban farming. It's an idea you have put in my mind. I will have a conversation with the counties. Nitakuwa na mazungumzo na counties tuone vile tunaweza kuwapatia support. Haya. Hapo kwa religion pia umesema kuna ghetto, makanisa ni mingi kuliko shule na hospitali. Na unasema kuna watu wengine wanaabudu kwa kichaka. Karibu kama iwe kama ya ule mtu ule wa Shakahola. Na ni kweli hiyo Shakahola ilituletea balaa, lakini vile unajua nimeshapatiwa report ya mambo ya vile tunaweza kufanya kazi na makanisa zetu na tuweze kuwa na taratibu ambayo watu wachache wasitumie dini kulete mambo ambayo inaweza kuleta maafa ama kuleta mambo ambayo yanaweza kuumiza Wakenya. So hiyo report tayari imefika kwangu na tunatengeneza sasa jopo ya kuimplement hiyo report na tutapeleka bunge tupate endorsement ya bunge ndio tushughulikie haya mambo wewe umesema. And you are very spot on. Asante sana. One person from here.
This is Elizabeth Amondi. Yes, Mr. President, I have two questions. One is about the insecurity in Kisumu. Kisumu people are dying each and every time because of insecurity. Secondly, water area, the soy dam area, which has led to the deaths of so many people, and people have been crying each and every time. Thank you, Mr. President.
Just explain to me, you say, Elizabeth.
Koru soy dam.
Koru?
Yes.
There is a problem with?
The water area. The water in Koru soy dam, when it falls, is running down, which causes the farmers don't get the floods are.
Oh, there is too much floods.
There is too much flood that leads to no good production.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Elizabeth. You have talked about insecurity in Kisumu. Let me tell you two things. Most of our security agencies, the equipment they had was not in good condition. And also, the terms and service of our policemen and women were not very good. So what I did last year, I put together a task force under Maraga because we were having rampant issues. Some of our policemen and women were committing suicide because of the way, the conditions they were working in. Some of them are living in very bad situations. So we are doing three things to improve the terms of service of our policemen and women. Number one, we have now a new terms structure. Even their salaries, we have enhanced their salaries from the beginning of July this year to make sure that our policemen and women have adequate compensation for them to be able to deliver the service that they are doing to Kenyans. That's number one. Number two, we are also now putting them under the program of institutional housing so that we can build houses for policemen. Some of them live in very, very deplorable conditions. So we are working on that to make sure that. And then number three, as you heard Raymond Omolo, my PS for Interior, say, they did not have adequate equipment. So I rolled out a 20 billion shillings modernization of equipment of our policemen and women so that they can be able to deliver that critical service that they are providing for our country. That program is already underway. We have the first, I think, 30% of the equipment is already been delivered. The program is going on. We are funding it from our budget so that we can improve the quality of service that is available to our policemen and women. Again, I will take up specifically, because you have said in Kisumu, there is an issue. So Raymond, you need to get your team in Kisumu to respond to what Elizabeth is saying so that we can take care of that security. But I've just given you the broader aspects of what we are doing globally to make sure that our policemen and women are doing the job that they have in the mandate given to them. Part of the reason why you had me talk about Soin Koru Dam, which is a very important piece of infrastructure for us, it will also help reduce the flooding. That is why that dam, the construction of that dam is very important. However, the mechanism of delivery of this dam that is currently in place is inadequate. In fact, it will take a very long time for us to do this dam if we do it using the mechanism that already is there. So I have agreed with the leadership of the County of Kisumu. I had a long meeting with them yesterday with Professor Nyong'o and the leaders from Kisumu, and we agreed that we are going to change the model of construction of this Soin Koru Dam for two reasons: to stop the flooding that is destroying crops on the lower side, and number two, to make sure that we have enough water. We can harvest that water and use it for good cause and bring it to Kisumu and other areas. So that's what we are doing. One question from these good people. There is this gentleman. Yes, my friend.
Thank you, Excellency. My name is Jayesh Patel. I manufacture mattresses and water tanks. I'm an industrialist in Kisumu. The first point is basically about power. As an industrialist, there is a big problem in Kisumu. We do not have stable power. If you want more industries to come to the Kisumu County, the power must be stable. Otherwise, you cannot get investments. Now, nationally, I have 2-3 things to say. The bank interests have really gone up. Every industry in the country has borrowed funds, and today they are really paying a heavy price for it. Similarly, the fixed deposits have also gone up. So that has made people actually put money in the bank more than rotated in the economy. And that is actually making all the money be pulled out to the banks and obviously to the government. So if this interest rate goes down, the economy will improve. Another suggestion is the PAY tax. After 32,000 Kenya shillings earned by any employee, there is a 25% tax. Now that is a lot of tax going to the government. I understand that every citizen has to pay tax, which is good, but for the economy to move and become more vibrant, I think this threshold of 32,000 maybe should be pushed up to 90 or 100,000. That will make every Kenyan who is earning money retain the money with him and obviously push it back to the economy. Lastly, the procurement. I have noted and observed that lots of things are over-exaggerated in procurement in the county and the national governments, and that is basically pilferage of taxpayers' money. The suggestion is that since Kenya is digital, why don't you put a ceiling of every item that has to be purchased? Example, if you are going to buy a wheelbarrow, it cannot go for $500,000. It should be somewhere 8,000-9,000. So if that is put as a ceiling, obviously the money will be controlled automatically. And the issue of trying to say reduce corruption stops auto.
Thank you.
Just last one, the issue of the police and the corruption issue which you mentioned, I have a suggestion. Because the fines are heavy, people opt to bribe and move on rather than pay the government. if the charges are reduced, say to 1,000 or 2,000, people will obviously pay the government and then also improve. Because at the end of the day, if they were guilty, say, of overspeeding, why would they pay 10,000 to the government? They would rather bribe 3,000 or 5,000 to the police. So if we go reverse way, we rather have the fines to be made 2,000 or 3,000. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Jayesh. On power stability, I quite agree with you, but I want to give you some good news. We had a big problem of a facility we had in Muhoroni. I'm sure you are aware. It made power very expensive and very erratic in Kisumu. I want to tell you that we have now shut down that facility because we've gotten additional power from the grid that avoids the generation that was being done in Muhoroni. We will make it much more stable once we connect the line that we are working on. We are working on a procurement for the line that will connect you, Kisumu, to Olesos and connect you to power from Takwel, which is not only cheaper, but it's also consistent and reliable. So if you give us a few more months, we should be able to complete that transmission line and be able to stabilize the power in Kisumu and assist you to do the manufacturing and industrialization that you are doing. Banking interest rates, you're right. If government is paying 15, 16%, no bank is going to lend to a citizen, a farmer, an industrialist, or anybody. As you have seen, in the last meeting of our central bank, the interest rates are, the central bank has already given the signal. I think the last meeting of the central bank brought the interest rate by 0.5% down, and we want to consistently push it down so that we can achieve what you're saying. Because if we do not do that, then it becomes very difficult for people in the private sector to access credit for them to do the businesses that they want to do. You have a suggestion about pay as you earn, and you've said we should put it up from 32 to 90 or thereabout. I'm not sure that's the direction we want to go. You have a suggestion, but I think we need to interrogate how do we still raise the resources we are looking for. And, you know, our trajectory has been, let us broaden the base. Let us make more people pay so that we can reduce the rates. But, you know, if we continue making a few people pay, it becomes much more painful. It is better for us to broaden the base and lower the quantum so that everybody carries a piece of the tax burden. But again, I'm sure my team is listening here. They will look at the veracity and the applicability of your suggestion. On procurement, you are spot on. We are losing a lot of money because of procurement. And that is why I have made suggestion that we must have procurement moved to a digital platform. And everybody who wins a tender to do anything, we must display how much money, they have won a tender for how much money. Because we are buying very simple things for sometimes up to 40, 50% more money than is the case. So on procurement, we are going digital so that everybody knows what we are doing. On fines, there is a delicate balancing that we have to do. For example, if using the example you gave, that it is assuming 10,000 if you are overspeeding. So somebody says, instead of me paying 10,000, let me pay the policeman a fraction of it, maybe 2,000 or thereabout. But, you know, the fine was supposed to deter the person from overspeeding. If we reduce it from 10,000 to 3,000. Then somebody will just keep on overspeeding because if he's found, it is cheap, he can pay and move on. And then we end up with accidents and we end up with a bigger problem. So it's a balance that we have to strike. But again, I think we just need to discipline ourselves as Kenyans. What instead we want to do, Jayesh, is to make sure that the fines are instant. I think instant fine will deal with the challenge you have. I think somebody doesn't mind paying the fine. What they mind is the trouble of going to court, waiting for 2-3 days. Even if the fine is 5,000 and you have to wait for 3 days, it becomes very difficult, right? That is what actually sometimes people make people bribe policemen. So we are working on instant fines. Parliament has let us down. Members of Parliament are here. If you can conclude the amendment to the law so that we can actualize the instant fines. If you are found by a policeman, between you paying the government of Kenya instantly and giving the money to the policeman, many people will choose to pay the government of Kenya. So when we do instant fines, I think we will go a long way in treating the problem, Jayesh, you have said. Let me take the last shot from this end. Yes, somebody should...
Okay, Mr. President, allow me ongea nikika chini.
Okay, we have a good gentleman.
Mi naitwa Champion Disability Anton Riako. Na niko na swali yangu kuhusu person with disability. Kuna pesa serikali walitoa cash transfer kupeana person with disability. Na hii pesa tunapata watu wanapewa 2,000 every per month. Na unapata mtu anatoka Chiga anakuja kuchukua pesa KCB Bank, anatumia pikipiki. Akirudi na kuenda na kurudi ametumia pengine 1,000 kwa sababu ametumia motorbike. Akirudi nyumbani amebaki na 1,000. Sasa tunapata kama hii pesa asaidia person with disability. Tuko na wengine wanapeleka watoto physiotherapy. Every week wanapelekwa mara 2. Na huko physiotherapy inalipwa pesa. Serikali wako na mpangilio gani kwa hao watoto wetu ama jamaa wetu wako na disability? Secondly, unapata wakati wa kuandikisha hao watu kuna category inapewa pesa na category inawachwa nje. Sasa wale wamewachwa nje pia ni person with disability, wako na watoto, wanalipa nyumba, wanakola. Unapata mtu kama mimi nafukuzwa kwa nyumba kwa sababu sina kitu. Sasa hii pesa pia haitoshi kusomesha watoto, haitoshi kulipa nyumba. Serikali wameweka mkakati namna gani? Ya pili, ya tatu, tuko na sport naitwa paravoli. Mara nyingi tunapata kama tunaenda nje ya Kenya, tunateseka, haipati support mzuri. Kuna wakati wachezaji walikuwa Rwanda, ndio pesa wakatumwa kutoka hapa Kenya ikaenda huko. Watu wanalala tu kwa viranda. Kwa sport tunasikia tu watu wanaongea juu ya football na wale wanaenda marathon. Na hao wa person with disability serikali wako na mpangilio gani? Ya mwisho, upande wa kazi. Person with disability mara nyingi hawaandiki kazi. Ukienda huko wanaangalia tu crutches, wanasema wewe hakuna kazi unaweza pata. Na serikali wako na mpangilio gani? Na sisi pia tunalipa ushuru. Mtu asikudanganye mimi silipo ushuru kwa sababu nikienda supermarket vile wewe unanunua mkati shilingi 100, mimi pia nanunua hiyo mkati shilingi 100. Sasa upande wa kazi, kama mimi siwezi kuandikwa kazi, tafadhali mtu kama mimi, hii ball nimeweka kwako, unichukulie watoto wangu uniandikie kazi. Ndio mimi nipate njia ya kukula. Pengine utasema mimi ni mzee. Mungu akubariki, karibu Kisumu.
Asante sana Anthony. Kwanza Anthony, umeongea vizuri sana. Kweli wewe ni champion. Nimekusikiza vizuri. Wacha nikueleze mambo matatu. Wakati wa campaign nilisema hivi. Nilisema hiyo pesa ya cash transfer ambayo saa zingine ilikuwa inalipwa baada ya miezi 4, ilikuwa inalipwa saa zingine baada ya miezi 6. Ni kweli ama si kweli? Nilisema hiyo pesa, kwa sababu wale watu wako kwa cash transfer ni watu walemavu, wazee na orphans. Nikasema kabla mshahara ya rais haijalipwa ama ya any public servant, kwanza tulipe pesa ya watu wa cash transfer. Mimi nataka nikueleze ya kwamba sasa nikiongea na wewe, pesa ya cash transfer is paid at the same time na pesa yote ya wafanyikazi wengine wa serikali. Ile maneno ya kungojea miezi 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 nilikomesha. That is number 1. And you can confirm. Jambo namba 2. Umesema ya kwamba hii pesa, kwa sababu sio pesa nyingi, kama mtu anatoka sijui mahali gani mpaka akuje mpaka kutafuta KCB, nilisema ya kwamba sasa hiyo pesa tutakuwa tunalipa kwa M-Pesa. Wewe ukiwa nyumbani tunakutumia pesa yako, hakuna haja ya kupanda pikipiki. Sijui if the PS for citizen services is here, social service, social protection. Motari is not here. We've begun that process, and I think we've begun with orphans. I want to promise you, before the end of this year, huyo mtu ambaye anakuja kutafuta pesa yake hapa KCB, hata kuwa anakuja KCB. Tumekubaliana na Safaricom, tumekubaliana na KCB, na tumekubaliana na wale wengine wote ya kwamba hiyo pesa sasa tutakuwa tunalipa na M-Pesa. Wewe uko nyumbani, hakuna haja ya kupanda pikipiki, tutakuwekea kwa M-Pesa, wewe uendelee na safari yako huko nyumbani. Ya mwisho, umesema ya kwamba hiyo ya 3 umeniuliza ni ya kazi. Paravoli. Yes, umeniambia mambo ya sports. There was a very sad incident. Kulikuwa na incident moja ilikuwa ya aibu sana. Ni kweli wachezaji wetu wa kutoka ndugu zetu ambao wako na disability walikwama mahali fulani. And I took action to make sure that it doesn't happen again. I just want to give you an assurance that we will treat all our sportsmen and women equally. Kama vile tunachunga wale wanaenda kufanya kukimbia, kama vile tunachunga wale wanaenda kufanya sports, pia tumeambia wizara ambaye inahusika na mambo ya sports, our people with disability should not be treated differently because they are equally Kenyans and they are sports people like the rest. So that one incident was too many for us, and I want to give you my assurance that that will be the case. Watu wa disability wanalipa ushuru kama wengine. I agree with you. You buy stuff just the same way all of us buy. But we have given some exemptions. Tumetoa exemptions kwa watu wa kama ukitaka kununua some of the items, mambo hii crutches we supply free of charge. Mambo ya wheelchairs, we make sure that there are no taxes and we supply most of them free of charge. We have made sure that there are tax exemptions targeting people living with disability. And we will continue to make sure that we keep them in the loop and also attend to them. On the issue you have raised about children, huyo mjamaa ameketi na wewe hapo ni PS wangu wa trade, anaitwa Alfred Kombudo. Utazungumza na yeye alafu atanifikishia habari yako hiyo umesema. Na ni mtu wa kutoka Kisumu Dala, huyo mtu ambaye anaitwa Alfred, yeye ndio PS wangu wa trade. Ananisaidia kwa mambo ya biashara. Nafikiri kwa sababu ya nafasi yangu ya masaa, na mnajua kesho mimi nitakuwa Siaya, na mimi nataka niwashukuru watu wa Kisumu Dala. Nimefurahi sana kufika hapa. Asanteni sana kwa kunikaribisha. Mimi vile tumekubaliana hapa, siasa ambayo tutacheza ni siasa ya kuunganisha Wakenya wote. Na sisi wote vile tumeongea hapa, tumeongea mambo ambayo yanatuhusu kama Wakenya. Kama ni ya disability, kama ni ya food security, kama ni ya taxes, kama ni ya how to move the country forward. we've all talked as the people of Kenya because we are in one country, we have a common destiny, and our unity is going to determine how we move forward as a country. Asanteni sana watu wa Kisumu kwa kuja katika hii town hall. Na nimefurahi sana to answer your questions directly. Kama sija kujibu na ujaridhika sana, I will have another opportunity. You can again give me another chance to answer your questions. Otherwise, asanteni sana. Nyasaye okwedu. Mungu wabariki sana. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, can we stand up and give His Excellency a round of a hearty, warm clap? Thank you. Thank you, Your Excellency, for taking your time and being so gracious and kind with your time to answer questions from residents of the Lake region. I kindly request to remain standing as His Excellency will leave at his own pleasure. But thank you very much for your patience, your time, and also engaging His Excellency.